This is Screen Junkies Movie Fights, brought to you by Squarespace. Now your host, Andy Signore.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Movie Fights. God, I love doing this show. So many fun people here. So many fun topics. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Yes, we're about to debate it. Best part of that trailer, as well as best after-credit scene, best Spielberg movie after 2000. You guys are going to pitch a Star Wars story. So many fun battles today that I'm so excited for you guys to watch. As always, we're live on ScreenJunkies Plus. And if you're watching on YouTube, welcome as well. I want to introduce our fact checker. Our fact checker of last week is back. That's why it's screwed me up. I'm like, she's not the fact checker, but you were such a good fact checker, and everyone's like, why didn't Trisha fight? So now you're back right here fighting. I'm so excited to have you. Trisha Hershberger, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Andy. It's always good to be on Movie Fights. Yeah, I was saying on my stream earlier today, I do video game streaming, I was saying that I always get like a mini like anxiety attack before movie fights.
You were on the laptop prepping.
I was.
I know you were busy today.
I do crazy amounts of prep, and like I get so nervous that I'm just gonna brain fart it, but it's so much fun at the same time. Like I always shake for like an hour after I finish a movie fight, but it's awesome.
Nice. Well, get ready. Wow, I didn't even notice. Are those Nintendo cartridge earrings?
Yes, they are.
Those are so cool.
I'll show them to you after. They're very cool.
Next to her, I'm so glad to have him back. The director of The Death of Superman Lives. He's currently kickstarting his next doc, which you guys need to go support. Jon Schnepp!
Hey, what's up?
Hey, dude.
It's great to be back
Welcome
on Movie
back.
Fights. Thanks. Yeah, check out Sweaties Unite. Just go to Kickstarter. And we're in the last 2 weeks, so if you want to help me make this comic book documentary.
You can find it through your Twitter, right?
Yeah,
Jon Schnepp, perfect.
Yeah, just check that out. And don't be nervous. There's no shaking involved. We're going to rock this.
I love it. Hey, welcome back. It's good to have you. And making his debut here, I'm so excited. Actor, comedian, host of the nighttime show, Stephen Glickman.
Hello, and thank you, and welcome to me.
I like that pizza hat. Oh, there's hot dogs on there, too.
There's hot dogs and pizza.
Oh, the two best things.
The greatest things in the world. My two. It's what you and I were raised on,
Yes,
I believe.
yes, it's true.
Maybe a little bit of Schnepp, too.
A little bit. Pizza.
What does your hoodie say?
What? Oh, it says I'm surrounded by assholes.
Oh, I guess we're cursing on this episode. We're trying not to. Sorry. Sometimes I get complaints from parents. They watch with their kids and then we curse. So let's try not to curse.
I'm going to try not to curse.
Glickman.
We're going to try not to curse.
I apologize for ruining everything.
It was my fault. I prompted it.
Unless you really need to, but just be warned, a parent's going to be mad at you. But,
Okay.
You know, if we want to be a family show.
You bet.
But thank you for coming. Excited to have you. You've seen the show, I know, so
Yes.
welcome. This will be fun. As always, fact-checking for us. Well, he wasn't here last week because he was fighting.
Or the week before.
You're fighting both weeks. Back on the couch, Mr. Dan Murrell.
Hi. It's a
Dan
relief
Murrell.
to be back over here.
Yeah, it's a little less pressure over there.
A lot less pressure.
You had a lot going on the last couple weeks.
It's been crazy. So, back on fact checking.
Welcome back. And next to you, I'm so excited to have her all the way from Austria. It's Karen Kirchner. Thank you for coming.
All right.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you. So you watch the show. You're big. Who's your favorite fighter? Ah, he's right there.
Thank you.
He's pretty
Right
damn
there.
good, right?
Yes, he is.
He's really good at this show.
So
You
handsome.
guys are, I know, so handsome, so good. You guys are lucky you don't have to fight him today. But Karen, thank you for watching. As you know, I might be coming over to you for help.
Yes.
So make sure, as always, everyone at home, everyone here, it's about the arguments, not about anything else. Make sure you get me facts, passion, creativity. It's about how you're debating here, not about what's the best movie or what you think is the best movie. So everybody ready to do this?
Yes.
Before we go, I have to thank our wonderful sponsor over at Squarespace. We love Squarespace, guys. It's the simplest way for anyone to create a beautiful landing page, website, or online store. With easy-to-use tools, templates, Squarespace helps you capture every detail of what drives you, because if it's worth the effort, it's worth sharing with the world. Now, you can start your free trial today at squarespace.com/moviefights. And when you do, make sure to use offer code MovieFights. It's up there on the screen, and you'll get 10% off your first purchase. Squarespace sites look professionally designed regardless of your skill level. No coding required. I love that, because I don't know how to code.
No coding required.
No coding. So go get get a free domain if you sign up for a year and use the offer code MovieFights. Thank you so much, Squarespace. All right, guys, let's do it.
Now let's do this!
This is where we fight!
Fight!
Round one. This comes to us from Twitter. User Samson1478. Yeah, it did spell. He put some weird cap in there on his M, but I can see. Yeah, Samson. Samson asked us. We finally got the teaser trailer to Rogue One. What's the best moment in the Rogue One trailer? Now, before we even get there, I mean, that was a cool trailer,
It was
right?
a cool
So
trailer.
cool.
It's very cool. It's very exciting.
I mean, this wasn't a does it suck question. It's
Right.
just everyone's like, come on, we want to watch this.
How many times have you seen it so far?
At least 5.
Yeah. I'm right there with
Dan,
you.
you were
At
with it
least
too?
5.
Yeah, I was with it. Not so, I've never been sold on these spin-offs, but I was sold on that trailer.
Felicity Jones looks awesome. I had a very high retweeted tweet of, can we please get her action figure pre-ordered now so it's in stores by December? Come on,
Yeah.
Hasbro, Disney.
Yeah.
And can we make sure
Star
that it's
Wars.
also in the girls' toy section?
Yes,
please?
come on. She looks awesome. I want the figure now. Anyway, we're going to talk about, since we all loved it and everyone on the internet seems to be loving it, what was the best moment of that trailer? And Trisha, you're starting us off.
I'm starting us off with Felicity Jones at the end of the trailer. I mean, that's what you just brought up of your biggest memory from
But
the
you're
trailer.
going with her, what part of...
Oh, the shot at the end.
Okay.
Yeah,
That one, there it is.
That one right there. A
So
lot
cool.
of people are using it as their header image. That's how cool it is. Not only is it visually stunning, but it's really fun as a female Star Wars fan to see a badass female protagonist again. But I feel like when I say badass, I'm not saying badass just because she's a lady and it's nice to have a lady protagonist, but I'm saying badass in that she is not the doe-eyed, so innocent, I'm just learning about everything Star Wars protagonist that we see, not only with Rey, but with Luke as well. She's our female Han Solo. You know, she's been through it before. She's seen some stuff, and we're gonna get to go through that with her. And I just think it's really exciting to have a badass female character like
Got
that.
it.
That's
I want
cool.
more specifics about why that seems specific, but we'll get there. But
Okay.
good point. John, what's your pick?
I went with the line where she says, I rebel, because that to me is basically summed up the entire trailer for me. It was basically, you see her, at the very first shot of her, she's in handcuffs. They bring her in front of Mon Mothma, and she's basically like, oh, you've been arrested, this, that. She's obviously more than a scoundrel. She's kind of a villain in a certain sense, but they're bringing her in, and maybe her Dirty Dozen or her Magnificent Seven to do a job. And then we see a little bit of that execution of that job, but not enough, just enough to whet the flavor. Like for that last shot, you definitely see her as an, Empire garb, but I liked that you got the response of her character, and with her saying, I rebel, is like kind of summed it up for me.
Got it. Steven, what was your favorite part?
Okay, listen. There's a moment in the movie where Forrest Whitaker appears. Okay? First thing I thought was Battlefield Earth. All right? Oh, God, I hope this is not another Battlefield Earth movie. Okay? Then I see a guy with dreadlocks. Did you see the guy with dreadlocks?
Right,
I was like,
yeah.
oh no, more Battlefield Earth. But then Forrest Whitaker starts doing his acting thing, and I'm like, whoa, now I'm in. Because we haven't seen good Forrest Whitaker in like a while. We haven't seen him like kill it. And like Forrest Whitaker was Ghost Dog. Like he's been around for a long time and he's amazing. So letting him be in that universe, seeing him in that universe, I thought was super cool, and I was happy to see him.
All right.
I was happy it wasn't Battlefield Earth.
Good to see him acting again. All right, guys, go for it. Fight.
Okay, great. I would say against the I rebel line, while I do love Felicity Jones, as I mentioned before, I think that's a horribly written line. And it reminded me that this movie is written by one of the screenwriters of Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps.
The Clumps?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I was
Dan,
like.
did you know that?
I did not. I'm on it.
Chris Weitz is his name, and I'm just like, ooh, man. I mean, cheesy one-liners are awesome. We have them throughout Star Wars films, but I'm just like, please, it's in the trailer already. It's not just like a little side thing. So I'm nervous about the writing, and that's what I Rebel made me feel.
Bad writing, John?
Yeah.
I get that. I mean, look, when I heard it, I was like, oh, really? You rebel? Great.
Right.
Good.
These guys
Who
are
would
really...
have? Who would have known? Who would have known that you're part of the Rebel Alliance?
Well, you
Well,
picked Battlefield Earth guy, so I don't really know what you're talking about. So, hang on a
Forrest
sec.
Whitaker is a
Forrest-
talented actor.
That guy was in awesome films up till last year. I don't know what you're talking about. Battlefield Earth, that's 10 years ago. Forrest
Really?
Whitaker is in movies all the time.
Oh, like
And you're saying that
he
you're
was the president of
excited.
Uganda.
You're
all right, I
excited
missed
to see
that.
the movie because you haven't
So,
seen
I'm
Forrest
sorry.
Whitaker be good in a long
I
time.
haven't
That's
seen Forrest
why
Whitaker-
you're excited to see Rogue One. Not
I
anything
think it's
about
because it was
Star
Forrest
Wars.
Whitaker in armor is why you liked it.
I
You're
liked
like
it
thinking of
because
that
it was-
action figure.
I liked that
Is that-
part of it. That was very cool.
I gotta disagree with your, the screenwriting. Chris Weitz. He's also written a bunch of really cool science fiction movies. I think it was The Golden Compass, which is actually I thought was really well written. And I Rebel is actually an amazing line. It's not. I see where you're coming from because you have to argue me, but it's actually. You just have to come up with fake stuff to make it seem like you're in full agreement
That's
with
what
me.
everybody does on movie
No, I know,
fights.
but that's what I'm saying. It's like, since I know I'm totally right, and that's the most awesome line read in the entire trailer, it's because it does sum up her character. It does show you that she's a rebel. She's also kind of a villain. She's an anti-hero.
Teenagers rebel.
I just-
that
wait.
doesn't saying I rebel. Your
Is this-
12-year-old
But she
can
said
say
she was
that.
saying it in a really cool way to Mon Mothma.
Not as cool as she
Hey.
looks at the end there.
That's silent.
All right. Is this the first time that someone's defended the Golden Compass on your show?
I think so.
Hey, you know what? I'll defend
Probably.
I can't even say it. The Golden Compass forever with those weird polar bears.
Wow, amazing.
The other thing I would say against Forrest Whitaker's part in the teaser is that he's like foreboding and like giving the warning of don't go to the dark side. As far as we know, she's not a Jedi. So is this going to be a Force-heavy movie? I was thinking it would be a Force-light movie if it's a Han Solo-esque thing. Why are we talking
I
about?
gotta disagree with you. I don't think it's foreboding. That's just his face. That's just.
Well,
he
honestly,
just looks
the
like he's
version
always
I saw
foreboding.
a slightly extended version where Whitaker started yelling leverage. And where's my brief mask? And John Travolta showed up. Did you see
What?
that?
Oh, I
Yeah.
remember. That's a great part.
I can't buy that
Travolta's
part.
a great
You know
part
what?
of the
I
terror.
just can't buy that part.
Look, that shot, the last shot, it's kind of an easy pick.
It's so awesome.
It's a pretty shot, but the shot of the Asian type fellow with the sword,
He's cool too.
that was super cool. I don't know
And
what's
so was
happening.
the
I'm sorry, guys. His
AT-AT.
name
There's
is
lots
fucking
of this.
Donnie Yen. Get it straight.
Donnie
Can
Yen.
somebody be a nerd up in here and get that shit right?
Donnie, I apologize from all of us here.
It's great.
And from me.
But nobody
great.
picked that scene. All right, last
All right.
thoughts on each of your scenes and why it's better than the other two. Go ahead, Steven.
Okay. I'm excited to see what Forrest Whitaker's character is going to be in this film. I'm excited to, he's got such a great attitude, and I'm a big fan of his acting. So getting to see him as part of this universe, very excited about it.
Okay, John.
Hey, I'm excited about Ghost Dog 2, Battlefield Earth, Leverage Sun. Put on that breathe mask. He's wearing something very familiar. I rebel against both of these two people. They're wrong. I'm right. I rest my case. She's an anti-hero. It's all summed up right in that line.
Trisha.
Okay, I'm going to say that we already know that she's a fantastic actress. I just have seen her, in Theory of Everything, and she was amazing. In that last shot, we not only see that she's willing to rebel, but we see that she's willing to take charge. You see her, like, the teaser of what she becomes, and that's what this movie is about. So as far as what gets me most excited for this movie, it's that.
I get it.
Dan.
Yes.
How's it going over there?
So yes, Chris Weitz was a writer on Nutty Professor 2, The Clumps. He's also a credited writer on Ants, About a Boy, Cinderella, the remake of Cinderella last year, and The Golden Compass. He co-directed About a Boy with his brother. He also directed The Golden Compass and Twilight New Moon.
Did he do American Pie?
Yes, they also worked on
Yes,
American Pie.
yeah.
Also, this is just an internal debate I was having today that I got confirmation again. The Imperial Walkers, because they were correct pronunciation. It's at.
Yes.
There
It's
is a
Yes,
debate. Some people say it's AT. It's at. So
What do you call the little
Just
two-legged
FYI.
ones? Because I used to call those chicken walkers.
the ATSTs, right?
All right, ATST.
But you can't say at, so I guess
No,
those are ATSTs.
That's so weird.
But it's
Okay,
at.
I believe you. If that's what Dan says, we'll go with it.
Dan, yes. Dan,
I had to
trust
settle
Dan.
the debate.
And on Movie Fights Live, how are the fans liking this?
The fans are liking it a lot. I was pulled away a little bit for
Research
purposes, but the debate is going fast and furious. A lot of people weighing in on their favorite moments.
This was tough.
We also have a poll.
Oh, you do? Okay,
Yes.
great. Based on the arguments, it came down to both Felicity Jones scenes, to be perfectly honest. Sorry, Steven. I think it was good, but we've seen him act before, they've said, you know?
All right.
So I stuck. So then it came down to, is it a bad script, or is it an anti-hero line that show who sold me better on why this led the anti-hero more? That coupled with the fact that he just knew more about the shows, I gotta give it to John. I think his nerd cred shined through. And
Thank you, Andy.
I can't. Whether the line sounds stupid or not, it did help sell what she's there for.
Congratulations.
So close.
Proud of you,
close,
buddy.
Trisha, but
Congratulations.
not over yet.
That's all right.
Speaking of close, Andy,
Yes.
with 400 votes, it was 37% in shot of Jen Erso, 36% I Rebel on our Twitter poll, 27% Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, I was having the same struggle, Twitter. So we were there. I just made the call. That's what it is. But very close. If I could give you both points, I would. I still wouldn't give you one though, Steven. Sorry.
By the way, for people
Just
that say that we
hurtful.
should announce these polls, they will be going up as the rounds go up on
Yes,
Twitter,
the rounds
at
go up on
ScreenJunkies.
Twitter, on our Twitter, at ScreenJunkies. During the show, you can tweet, and I may use them, I may not.
Yep.
But thank you for checking out there at ScreenJunkies. All right, round 2. Jaden, 125069875. You think that's Jaden Smith's Twitter? No. Jaden, no numbers?
No,
Okay.
this tweet makes too much sense for that.
Okay. Ooh. We want you to pitch your standalone Star Wars story. What should we see next? Any character, any part of the universe. You pick it, you pitch it, you tell us what it is. And John, we're going with you first. We have young Han Solo coming. We have all this stuff coming. What do you want to see? What Star Wars story do you want to see?
Well, say they've already announced Han Solo. They talked about Obi-Wan Kenobi. They talked about a Boba Fett film. They've definitely said a Yoda film. I want to see the saga of Salacious Crumb. We find out about the long, weird journey of Salacious Crumb from his youth as a Death Stick runner on Mos Eisley to his slow rise and becoming part of Jabba's inner circle to his eventual run for the Galactic Senate and his deadly duel with Jar Jar Binks. Salacious Crumb, yo. What's up? I want to see that saga.
Did he die by Jabba?
Nope.
He never died at the end?
Nope.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's a trilogy, yo.
No, but I'm
check
saying
that.
he didn't die in
No,
Jedi.
he did not.
I'm sure Dan's checking for
I'm
me.
checking now, yes.
I really thought that she did get him at the end. Or maybe she could, because the thing blows up.
Yeah, I thought he was dead too.
Anyway, all right. Fair enough. Steven, what's your story?
I would like to know the origin story of IG-88. This is a badass robot character that is a bounty hunter, and we know very little about him and where he came from. And
That's this guy next to Boba Fett.
Right. The guy on the left,
Okay.
that robot thing. Let me tell you about this robot. Here's what I'd like to see it, where like a guy builds him, right, and then how does he become like self-aware? How does he like become a bounty hunter? And is there someone controlling him? Like, I would really like to know that story. Well, because like he's hanging there with like Dengar and all those other weirdos, and they have to like, and they're all sent off to go find Han Solo. So it's like, why not find out like where this guy came from and who he is and like a little bit of his personality.
And who controls him?
Maybe he's married. I don't know. Maybe there's a Miss IG.
Trisha was just laughing the whole time. All right, Trish, your turn.
I think these pitches are both super fun, but they're nothing compared to what a Yoda standalone movie would be. My goodness, come on, folks. He's the best Jedi ever. He's already got a huge following, so a lot of people are going to see that film. You see all the Yoda backpacks, he's very in. And we know very little about him. I mean, for God's sake, even his race is referred to as the Yoda race. Who are those people?
Yeah.
Where did he come from? I want to learn about the race of most powerful Jedis ever. I want to know. I want to know all of it, and I think that it could have a great impact on how we view the rest of the movies. And I think that's what these standalones should do, is fill us with knowledge that would help how we see the rest of the films.
All right, guys, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, first of all, as a massive Star Wars fan, I've never heard of there being a race of Yodas. I've always heard that he was the only one.
Oh, no.
Is there other Yodas?
I mean, I
Have
don't
you
know
heard of
if
there
now
being
we're
other
going to get
Yodas?
into, like, canon versus non-canon.
No, I'm not Christian Harloff. Relax. It's
Yeah,
cool.
I don't know if we're going to get into canon
In the
versus
book, they quoted
non-canon.
Yoda's species as scomblies or whatever.
Do you know?
No.
All right.
No, they never really refer to what they are, but from at least what I remember, and Dan, please check if I'm making this up.
Sure.
There is a race, he is the last of his race, and that's why he's the most powerful Jedi, and like, we don't know a lot about how he came to be where he was. Like, we don't know how he got there, but I would like to know that story.
Okay, I'm with you on that. On one condition, that we
Okay.
get the original puppeted Yoda and not shitty CG George Lucas Yoda.
I'm
Which
straight
Yoda?
up with you.
Okay,
you with me on that?
Oh, practical effects Yoda.
Practical effects
Hang
Yoda.
hang on. Let me argue that for 1 second. Name the movie from the practical effects that they're going to pick from.
Return, probably?
Failure. Empire Strikes Back. Return of the Jedi Yoda's lame. I just got to tell you.
Really?
Yeah, you got to watch Empire
Still,
Strikes
I
Back
mean,
and see that amazing puppet.
The conversation
Okay,
has
all
become
right.
Yoda v. Yoda at
Well,
this
look,
point.
the reason
All right,
we're not
I'll-
talking about, let me just say this, the reason we're not talking about Yoda is it's already a character. Like, we didn't pick the easiest thing that they've already said they're doing a movie for. They already announced they're doing a Yoda movie and Obi-Wan.
Did
I think
they?
I led that off with my discussion about Salacious Crumb, which is like an unexplored character.
Salacious Crumb is the jester for Jabba.
Hey, look, sometimes we need a little bit of humor injected into these Star Wars things. I'll give you this, though. Yoda will definitely be in Rogue One. I mean, they're going to Dagobah. But let me tell you a little bit about IG-88.
Come on, tell me.
All right, so not only was that character built off of a leftover tube from Mos Eisley, it's the most rushed together character in the entire world. I don't really think of him as when I think of all the bounty hunters. They all have to be together. It's like Dengar, Forlom.
Okay.
You got all of those characters. They all have to be together, and that's why like a Magnificent Seven movie with Boba Fett and all the bounty hunters would be cool. But IG-88 by himself, maybe I would add him into Salacious Crumb. I'd add him as a side character.
Well, because these are
get his
all
own movie.
side characters that we're discussing right now. We're talking about making them the protagonist of their own standalone
Yes.
film. Are we crazy?
Not
There's
as crazy
so
as
many
Rogue
other
One. Rogue
cool-
One has all brand new characters. Sorry.
Yes, but it's heavily influencing the storyline of the film.
No, it's not even Skywalker related. So
I don't know.
brand
It's
new.
not how we got plans to the Death Star related?
Nope.
No?
No. Well, if you're going to say Princess Leia before she realized she was a Skywalker, but she's not even in charge of that. It's Mon Mothma.
Have you seen the movie?
No, I've not seen Rogue One yet.
So you just know so much about
I'm
this
just
movie.
I'm just going by just watching that trailer.
All right. Go ahead. Let's get last thoughts, but I really want to hear
He
why
just
the other was
blew
right.
my mind, so I don't know what's happening anymore, and yeah, it's terrifying. Okay, last moments.
Yeah.
All right. IG-88 has 0 lines of dialogue in Star Wars. We've never. I mean,
So you're giving him lines.
I want him to have all the lines. I want him to.
Only person talking in the movie?
I want it to be him voiceover the whole movie,
Okay.
and I want it to be Morgan Freeman's voice the whole time.
All right.
Oh, that'd be fun.
But other characters will talk
Other
with
characters
him.
will
Okay.
talk too, yeah. But then maybe you know what? Maybe it's like his storyline of like how he ended up working with the other bounty hunters, and like it follows like his from being built to his death,
Becoming self-aware and who's been controlling
yes,
him.
becoming self-aware and who's been controlling him.
Okay.
I really like that idea.
I'm going to add IG-88 into my amazing saga of Salacious Crumb. Salacious Crumb builds IG-88. What's up? So I'm going
terrific.
to
Thank you.
add that kind of side silent character and give him a couple lines, but that's all he's really worth. Salacious Crumb, the trilogy, is what I'm talking about. Is going to be just kind of one of the most incredible things you've ever seen. I can't really argue anymore about the, like IG-88, already something that's already happening, Yoda. So if you want to go with like true originality, I'd have to go with Salacious Crumb.
If they already announced the Yoda standalone film, then I am mistaken. But I think it sounds amazing. I would say for these two characters, I would love to see more on both these characters. However,
Would you really?
as shorts, not as a full-length feature film, or God forbid, as a trilogy on Salacious Crumb.
Can't have one Salacious Crumb. It has to be at least 3.
I mean, but that's because, you come from the universe and you're like, I just want more of all the characters. But who is the most important? If we are only getting 3 standalone films, which we're led to believe that we are, who are the people we really need to see? Is it really IG-88? Is it really Salacious Crumb? No, it's Yoda.
It's not Yoda. It's Han Solo.
It's the most powerful Jedi ever.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
This is all about the Force, baby.
Yoda's a side character. He has to be part of Obi-Wan.
Dan, you got
Yes.
some cleanup, I hope, for me.
I have so
Is a
much.
Yoda
cleanup.
movie coming?
Is a Yoda movie coming? That is a good question. It has been rumored that a Yoda movie is amongst the plans for the standalone series, along with young Han Solo. It's never been officially announced that it's definitely coming, but that is up there with the top contenders, along with young Han Solo. So, yes, but not officially.
Okay.
We don't know it's
Do we know Yoda's race?
Yoda, it is called the Yoda species.
Okay,
There
good job.
is, as fans of the show and Mike Carlson will know, there is a fellow member of Yoda species called Yaddle.
Yes, that's right.
Yaddle was actually an operated puppet in the Phantom Menace. She was in the Jedi Council scenes, but they, I think, deleted her from the movie. But she was in the Jedi Council scenes in the
sad.
Phantom Menace. They took focus off of her character, so there were more Yoda species, but there's no name for the species. Also, I did confirm that Salacious Crumb did bite the dust when Jabba's barge was blown up by
wrote
Luke
that?
Skywalker.
Who confirmed that?
Wikipedia.
Is that canon?
Wikipedia says
Is
it.
that canon? That's
That's
right.
as canon as it can be. It's you didn't-
Wikipedia. That's not canon to me. I'd throw
show,
that out.
They didn't show his charred corpse
No.
on screen.
He
but,
skittled away, man.
Let's ask that story editor who hates us, Dan.
but yes, let's ask the guy at Lucasfilm that says all we do is have low-hanging fruit. But
This is completely crapped on our entire audience.
hates it. But
Hey, look, even if he does die, He fights Jar Jar. Those are the prequels. So my story still works. He dies at the very end of the trilogy.
All
So
right,
suck
change
it.
the story. Go ahead, Dan.
But anyway, so according to the official sources that I've read, Salacious Crumb did not make it out of Return of the Jedi alive.
Hey, doesn't everybody die eventually anyway?
Eventually.
Eventually.
Karen, you're there listening. Which movie did you like the best?
The Yoda one.
The Yoda one?
Yes, definitely.
You would.
It's hard to compete with Yoda, I gotta say. And then, but here's one thing that surprised me: this IG-88 pitch wasn't terrible. This idea of a robot that becomes self-aware and he's teaming with the other bounty hunters, and then who's been controlling him? I mean, he did Karen. Didn't that sound a little cool?
Yeah.
Still no Yoda, so Trisha gets the point. But you were
All right.
close.
Thank you.
I give you props.
you.
If I could give
appreciate
2
that.
points that round, I would have given you one on that one.
I got to give him a point now that it's over. So
That was pretty
IG-88 would be pretty cool.
But
I still have 0 points.
I agree. It needs more stuff around it. You were
Yeah.
close,
All
but I
right.
think it's hard to deny that if we're going to get a one,
Oh,
she made a
man.
very good
Yeah.
argument. But very close on that one.
I
Dan,
want to
what
see
did
a
the poll
Yoda
say?
movie.
The poll
What?
was
I
not
wanna
very
see
close to the poll.
I wanna see all these.
Yoda Standalone won, running away with 54% of the vote. Origin of IG-88 was actually 28% in second
Yeah,
place.
it was a good pitch.
Take
It wasn't-
that. Take that.
Wait, how many
Almost went
percentage
there.
points did Salacious Crumb get?
Salacious Crumb had 18%.
All right.
I won't swear, but awesome.
All right, round 3.
Round 3.
In honor of the boss, Melissa McCarthy's boss, that we're all excited to see.
You bet.
What movie character would be the worst to have as your boss? Oh, that's a fun one, guys. All right, you can pick any movie character you want. Who would be the worst boss? I want to know. And we're starting with you, Stephen.
Well, this is easy. The worst boss that you could possibly have ever would be Paul Giamatti in absolutely anything ever that he's ever done. Paul Giamatti in, let's go through this. Private Parts,
Pig Vomit.
Pig Vomit,
Yep.
Straight Outta Compton, 12 Years a Slave, all bad bosses.
Yeah.
He does not play people that are not bad bosses. He's a bad boss. He's the worst boss ever. I like if you're in a movie and you find out Paul Giamatti's in the movie, your character's getting screwed over. That's it.
Fair
That's
enough.
just how it works.
All right, we'll come back and talk more. Trisha, what are you
Fact.
picking? Who's your
Oh,
boss?
I'm going with Joker from The Dark Knight. Please, the worst thing to have in a boss ever is absolute chaos and insanity, because one day they'll tell you to do one thing, the next day they'll tell you to do another thing, and in the Joker's case, they'll just straight up kill you. Ha ha! So by far, that is the person I would not want to have as my boss.
All right, we'll come back more. John, let's get your boss out and we'll start the fight.
All right, J. Jonah Jameson from the Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man from Spider-Man. J. Jonah Jameson is the absolute worst boss you could possibly ever have. He never pays you on time. He makes you work overtime, stand at the office. Parker, I want those pictures on my desk by Monday. Never pays Parker when he's due. Never pays anyone the right amount of money. He's cheap. He's angry. He's a horrible person. No one really wants to work for J. Jonah Jameson. They can't wait to jump to another paper or anywhere else except for having to work for him. So you know it's limited time that they're going to be there.
All right, guys, boss fight. Let's do it.
Boom. Against Paul Giamatti in any movie he's ever made, I would bring up Saving Mr. Banks, where he was just lovely. I would work for him in that movie.
Saving Mr. Banks?
He was just lovely as that driver. Also, Cinderella Man, not so bad. And I maybe this doesn't count because TV miniseries, but John Adams, I think he'd be an okay boss in many a role.
Oh, all right. Well, you say that. I say, what about Big Fat Liar? What about every other movie he's ever been in?
You said every movie.
Yeah, you said every movie.
I said every movie he's ever. Yeah.
Every film ever.
All right. Well, okay.
You're gonna have
Still-
to.
I
You're
agree
gonna
with
have
you.
to
In
stick with
those
that one.
films, he would be a bad boss, but not in
I don't
every
know.
movie.
I mean, look, he drove He drove a lady around in the Disney movie. What'd you say, Mr. Banks?
Mr. Banks.
Yeah, but he was annoying her the whole time.
No, he was so
Oh
sweet.
God!
Hey,
You ever taken an Uber and the driver just won't shut up? That's Paul Giamatti in that movie. He just wouldn't leave her alone.
Still,
You got to be nice to him because they'll give you a low rating if you don't talk to them back. I
Oh
hate that.
God! Freaking Paul Giamatti.
hilarious. And then the one thing I want to say against J. Jonah Jameson, I love his flat top, and I think that was a really fun choice. And if we were arguing best people who already play bosses in movies, I would say that was a top contender. But we're talking about any movie character ever that would be the worst to have as your boss in real life. And while he's a bad boss, I just don't think he's the worst. I think there's so many more out there. Like you said, J. Jonah Jameson pays late. Joker pays never. He just murders you as soon as you get the money. That's
John,
a way worse
what do you
situation.
say to that?
Well, first of all, no sane person would ever work for the Joker unless they're a criminal or a scumbag. So I would just discount even like any normal, regular person getting a job from a nefarious, evil clown.
We're
named
not
the
talking
Joker.
about how you got hired.
Well, I'm just saying, like, as a character, like, that's what you pick. The Joker, who's like probably like only the worst, most desperate, fucked up people would ever like apply for a job. I don't even think you apply. I think
If
the
you
Joker
got
just
stuck
picks
with
you.
it.
If you got stuck with it, then that kind of sucks. But
It's not like people are like applying for jobs at the Joker's
they're like,
company.
well, I can't wait to work for the
Here's
Joker.
my resume. I would like to.
You put your resume in at a temp company. That's what
They
happened.
send
You
you
don't know.
over to the Joker.
I kind of can't really go with the Joker, but like Paul Giamatti, look, American Splendor. Like
Still the worst boss.
He's an
The
incredible.
worst boss.
What about Sideways? Drinking wine,
Oh,
totally
God.
awesome dude. He transforms into a better person at the end. Everybody
Whatever.
loves him.
Complaining the
Sorry.
whole time,
No,
drunk
actually,
the whole time.
towards the
Just-
end, he becomes a non-complaining, kind of cool dude. That Glickman, you would hang out with him. I know you have to fake fight me,
No,
but
I'm not
just
fake
saying,
fighting you. I'm
you
not
would
fake
totally
fighting
hang out with him on Sideways. You'd be on his fucking jock, son.
Schnepp, in that
I'm telling
movie,
you.
in Sideways, he's friends with Thomas Hayden Church,
Totally.
one of the worst actors in
Hey, he's
history.
the Sandman.
All right?
You're gonna pound away on the
Oh,
Sandman.
Sandman.
Like, speaking of the Sandman,
A lot
J.
of people
Jonah
pound
Jameson.
on
Let me segue right into the Marvel universe. J. Jonah Jameson. The
Oh, yeah.
reason he
No,
is
this guy's the worst,
the most
definitely.
horrible
For
boss
sure.
is because number one, he's actually a real boss. You guys picked like a clown and an actual
Joker's a
actor.
real boss.
Hey, he's not really a real boss. And an
Sometimes
actor. You said an
employees.
actor. That's not even part of the real. You had to pick a character. You said some dude who's
I said
paid to
every
be.
character he's ever
I know,
played.
but we've already shown you that you're wrong. Paul dies at the end is another one. So, I mean, I'm just saying you picked the wrong actor who's a character. For the Joker versus J. Jonah Jameson, there's no difference. It's like the biggest difference is J. Jonah Jameson actually is a boss of his own paper. He runs it. The Joker isn't
Joker
a boss.
is a boss of his entire
he's a-
criminal
he's a-
network.
he's a
He
criminal-
runs hundreds of criminals.
No, not hundreds. Probably
He
about
tells them-
7.
He tells them
And they
what
die.
to do,
Like
and then
7
he
or 8 people,
murders
and
them.
they die.
He is
So-
ultimately in charge. If a boss tells you when to show up, what to do, and when you're done working for the day, he told them where to show up, he told them exactly what to do, and then he punched out their time card by killing them at the end.
Most of those
That's a
people
boss.
don't show up ever again. They're like, oh man, I work for the Joker, and they leave the state.
You can
It's
work
like,
one day, it's still your boss.
It's not. Joker would never be my boss. J. Jonah Jameson, I would hate working for him, but if I had to pick one of the other, I would pick J. Jonah Jameson.
yeah, you absolutely would.
Oh, J. Jonah Jameson is a
Jameson, it's not a drink.
Jameson.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
J. Jonah
not even-
Jameson it's child's play compared to Joker.
Yeah, no. And you know what? Joker, I have a feeling, would be like a fun guy to kind of party with. So I feel like if you work for him, at least you get to like hang out. There's good music,
Before you get killed.
Before you get killed.
Anyone who plays D&D knows you do not work for a chaotic evil boss. You just don't do it. And that's what he is.
I gotta call it because I already heard my answers. Dan,
Yes.
anything you want to clean up there?
Well, some suggestions from Twitter. At Hamza Juzer suggested Tom Cruise in Tropic Thunder. At Andy Schick suggested Alec Baldwin and Glengarry Glen Ross. But the two big ones that I see a lot of people, including at Jedi Donatello, said Darth Vader, keeping with the Star Wars theme. The biggest one, though, including from at Tampa Bay Buckfan 88, Bill Lumberg from Office Space. And also, John, there's been a suggestion for a film project for you called The Death of Salacious Crumb Lives.
There you go.
I'll
That's
take it.
from Kyle Cannon at Cannon K27.
I think you did something
fine.
there. Thank you, Dan. You did something there, ballsy, Steve, by saying his filmography, but then they really got you back because they did throw back some good ones. If
It
you
was
had picked,
funny.
If you had picked one, you might have had them, but I think you got caught up in hubris there, thinking that they all were good.
All right.
But good effort and very funny. So then it came down to you two, and then you just kind of gave up there at the end, John. I was with you. But then you said if I had to pick a boss, I'd much rather pick mine. So I got to give it to Trisha, just on the sake of you gave up there at the end. So Trisha gets the second point.
I don't see that I gave up, but
You
I picked
can't
my
admit.
boss.
If I had to be work for one of them, I'd rather work for mine. That technically means hers is worse.
It's a worse boss.
That is an admission. So close, but it was a nice back and forth.
Right.
He does hire criminals. So I was with you until you gave her that. Next time, don't say it, guys. Just say it in your head. Round four.
That's right.
Round four. Where we go? In honor of the BF, isn't it the
BFG.
BFG? Yes, I was gonna say.
The big friendly giant.
Or
Or
something
it means something else in a video
big
game.
effing giant.
Yeah,
right?
me too.
Big effing gun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In honor of the BFG, Brian Kamen. Yes, making sure. There you go. Cam asked us, "What's the best Spielberg movie released post 2000. Let's go through. There's so many classics before 2000. They're all wiped out.
All done.
You can only pick the best movie from 2000 and beyond. What's the best? Trisha, you're first.
I'm going with AI.
AI.
I'm going with AI. I think it's super complex, both in the emotional and moral struggle that are in the film, as well as the development process leading up to being the brainchild of both Spielberg and Kubrick. As a techie, I absolutely love everything that it explores. And I think that the production designer, Rick Carter, and the DP, Kaminsky, both made one of the most visually stunning films that I have ever seen. I love the duality when we're seeing his face over the other face and his struggle to find who he is and what he is. I think that it's incredibly complex, incredibly moving, and a really well done film.
All right, John, what's your pick?
I picked Catch Me If You Can, the Leonardo DiCaprio film, where I thought it was just a really fun adventure, and that's what that Spielberg had done a lot of really kind of serious in the early 2000s, a lot of like kind of sour and dour science fiction films. And then this film, then Munich, which was a deadly serious film in the same year, 2005, he did Catch Me If You Can, which was it definitely had a lighthearted feel to it, had an energetic vibe from beginning all the way to the end. You never really knew if they were going to catch up with Leonardo DiCaprio as the fake jobs that he kept doing through the airlines and all that kind of stuff. So it kept my attention. Oh shit, and then I spilled his coffee. The coffee really knocked me out. So that's my pick, is Catch Me If You Can.
All right, Steven, as we clean up your coffee, what's your pick?
Well, I think there's a lot of obvious choices. I'm not going to say who would pick an obvious choice, but I'm just going to say one of my favorite Spielberg movies in this last large chunk of time is the movie The Terminal, starring Tom Hanks and the great Catherine Zeta-Jones, in which Tom Hanks, get this, he doesn't run from the feds, all right? He lives in an airport. Yeah, don't laugh at that. All right, this is a terrific movie. Deep Roy is in the film, who was also in Empire Strikes Back. This is a incredible. I think it's a great film, really about immigration and what this country means to people, and also losing your home and not having a home to go back to and trying to find a new place to live. I was very impressed with the film, and I really I love Tom Hanks. I love anything he does.
All right, it's our first,
especially not obvious things.
First argument for Deep Roy on this show as well.
Really?
All right, yeah, good job.
Never-ending story.
Fights.
I love Never-ending.
Well, I was going to say, if you love Tom Hanks, you'll love Catch Me If You Can, because he's also in that movie. The Terminal, I can't really remember it. I fell asleep. It was so boring. I felt it was terminally long.
The romance is just
It's actually
awful.
one of the few films that Spielberg admitted he hated making. He was like embarrassed by it. Whatever. Anyway, let's get to
a burger, like all the food court.
It's a horrible, strange, weird film. I'm sorry you liked it.
I adore that
Pretty
movie.
much. I know you're on the very minority of people who first of all, few people saw it, and then the people who did see it, most of them hated it.
I laughed a lot at that movie, but for all the
wrong
reasons.
You're like, what are they doing?
What are they doing?
Oh my God,
Tom
can
Hanks,
they ever get out of this place? Yeah, it's like a Twilight Zone.
He was awkwardly charming, but only because of Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
Anyone else in that role would have just been complete and utter.
Yeah, terminal meant something different if you're in the film. So you're like terminal, death, cancer, whatever. Let me just talk about AI for like a few seconds here. Really uneven film. I gotta say, like, the beginning of it's really good. The middle of it is kind of cool when they go to Rogue City and all that stuff. Yeah, and then it just falls the fuck apart at the very end. Where it's it's like it has a double ending. It's like the Blue Fairy at the end is where it should have ended. Both of his science fiction films, including Minority Report, have like a 90-minute amazing run-up and then an extra 35 minutes to 40 minutes of a tagged-on weird, strange ending. Spielberg couldn't get into the Kubrick zone. He had to add that little shiny extra, oh, you're okay, you're a robot, here's mommy. It should have ended with him looking at the Blue Fairy, he's a robot, and that was the entire idea of AI, was like, this is not a real person, this is a robot. And then he ruined it, but with that last 35 minutes, you could look it up, most people agree with me. I'm just saying, it's like, that's my opinion of it, and when I remember seeing it, I was really bummed out, because I was like, oh, he just did it again. He can't land those endings with these science fiction films.
I disagree.
He has to add this little magical, like, Spielberg light-up moment, and it just didn't work. For AI, when those aliens aliens show up, like weird, strange creatures, and he's in this weird spaceship. It's just really strange, and it didn't work for me. If they ended it, I would agree with you if they ended it when it was like kind of the dream of the blue fairy, and you gave this creature that's never going to die, it's a robot, what it really wanted. There's the mom that it wanted, those dreams. But that's not how he had to give him the fake ending. So.
I've never thought about it ending there, but I don't mind the ending that it has. It's dealing with so much. It's dealing with so much complexity. I'm trying to find another word for it since I've already used that word. But it's dealing with so many different themes. I mean, it's even delving into, I think, Spielberg feeling like films are now relying on computers. Is everything in society relying on computers? There's so much to deal with. I don't mind having that extra part at the end to kind of, help put a button on that. But as far as ramping up real strong and then petering out, that's what I would say about Catch Me If You Can. I thought that movie very much so struggled from pacing issues. It was too long. If it was 80 minutes, I would have enjoyed it much better. I thought the first 30 minutes were great. And then after that, I didn't know if I should, take a bathroom break. There were a lot of good bathroom break moments.
I don't know if we're talking about the same film.
Yeah,
Catch Me If You Can, really exciting all the way to the end. Racing, I don't remember what parts you're talking about that are boring.
For me, it was very, very up and down. And if we're going to bring in popular opinion, I think you would find other people on the internet that agree with me.
Name 5 people who are in AI actors.
Why?
I don't know. I just want to hear them.
What's his name was in it?
Haley Joel Osment.
Jude Law was in it. Okay, and he was great in that movie.
The Blue Fairy.
Awesome.
Jude Law was the only great thing that was in that movie.
Most
of the
you
rest
didn't like
of
Haley
it.
Joel Osment?
Haley Joel Osment's fine. He's okay, but he's a little robot boy. All right, the rest of the movie.
I thought he did a great job dealing with, am I human? Am I not human? What's my identity? Can I find it? And he's a kid actor.
Look, I'm going to throw something at you guys, and this is a fact, okay?
Yeah.
Fact, neither of your movies have Catherine Zeta-Jones in it. And Catherine Zeta-Jones...
Wait, is that an argument for or against?
For my movie.
It could be against it. I don't know. Bringing that up.
Check it out, buddy. I'm 90% positive Catherine Zeta-Jones is not in either. She's amazing.
She might have played one of the aliens.
Sorry, Catch Me If You
been.
Can has Christopher Walken. That's a trump card that I didn't really want to pull up, and just threw it on the table.
Oh,
Bam.
Christopher Walken's good.
He's pretty awesome. That's really.
Christopher Walken's also in a million other movies.
That are not good.
I think the argument is really between both of us because The Terminal doesn't really count as a Spielberg film. So
No, it does.
I have to say though, between Catch Me If You Can and AI, Catch Me If You Can is a better film. It's a better constructed film. It's a better written film. And Spielberg was basically taking pieces of Kubrick, who's dead, and trying to say he's making a Kubrick film.
Which is amazing.
It's not.
lunacy.
It's a failure
crazy.
as a Kubrick film, and it's a failure as a film.
I don't think so at all. If we're talking about the best Spielberg films since 2000, I mean, we've seen him do a lot of great things, as Andy pointed out, before the year 2000. Let's pick something that's completely new and a completely new challenge, adventure, etc. Not something we've seen done very well before.
Look, the obvious fight would be for something like Lincoln. Because that's...
Why didn't you pick Lincoln? That would have been way better than The Terminal.
That's just like that guy who cobbles shoes all the time and then occasionally acts. I wouldn't say it's Lincoln.
I like Lincoln
well,
too.
look, Lincoln's a great movie, but guess what? Guess who's not in Lincoln? Catherine Zeta-Jones. Okay.
Are we sure, Dan?
What? Pretty positive. Dan,
I don't know.
check this up.
I would fact check that.
I also love.
She's in Rock of Ages. That wasn't very
I'm
good.
a huge fan of Deep Roy, who was, by the way, in Neverending Story, and was amazing in it. He rode the snail.
Dude.
We never get to see him in things, and the fact that Spielberg put him in that movie, I was very
Tim Burton
impressed.
always hires him. I'm friends with Deep Roy. Did you know Deep Roy was in
are you
Flash
really?
Gordon?
So am I. So what, look, we're throwing it on
Hey.
the table.
Yeah,
let's
someone call
I'll
him
text
right
him
now.
right now.
Who just
I will
hung
call
out?
Deep Roy on the phone.
I got his number too.
Whoever
son.
gets him on the
Oh
phone
my God,
first.
can this
All
please
right,
happen live?
Call him
I'm gonna
Deep
have
Roy,
a real
son.
conversation with him.
There you go.
This is a real thing that's happening. Oh,
Speakerphone.
If you get him, can we all ride the snail, please?
Yes.
Dan, anything to add while they call Deep Roy?
Well, if you get Deep Roy on the phone,
see who he answers from.
if you get him on the phone, you might not want to ask him about being in Empire Strikes Back because he wasn't. He was
Oh,
in
No,
Return
he
of
was
the Jedi.
cut out of Empire Strikes
What
Back.
was
He
it?
was Yoda.
He was Droopy McCool.
He was Droopy McCool.
A member
But
of the
he-
Max
who's
Rebo
he gonna
band.
pick?
in Return
He was
of the
also
Jedi.
Both
Yoda.
calling. Is he
All
gonna
right.
take either of their calls?
Hang on.
Deep Roy, hold up. Hey, Deep Roy, what's up, man? It's Schnepp. What's going on?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I got. Do you know who Stephen Kramer Glickman is?
You're such a lying sack of shit.
No, you don't know who he is? I thought so. Anyway, we're talking about Flash Gordon, dude. All right, I'll see you later.
Zoom in. Says Deep Roy right now.
Bam.
Oh, he's not
As
picking
long as it
up.
doesn't show phone number.
He didn't have enough time to make that fake name.
Here we go.
Don't make sure the number isn't said. We're live.
Reached the
Oh, close it.
voicemail box of
Turn off. I'll give away Deep Roy's
would
phone
give
number
away his
live
phone
on the
number
show.
live.
Oh my god, that would be the worst
That would be
thing
bad.
ever.
I think he would be pissed about that. All right. Hey, look, you know what? We'll both hang out with him later. So
Yeah, it
I
would be
feel like
very
everyone who
uncomfortable.
does a live show makes that mistake once,
Yes.
and then you never do it again.
That's why you leave a voicemail, a
anyway,
recorded voicemail.
Deep Roy's not part of our conversation. He's just a good dude.
You
Let's
both
just leave him
failed.
alone.
Whatever. Deep Roy's amazing.
Catch Me If You Can is the amazing film here. That's all I gotta say.
Whatever.
All right,
man.
final thought, Trisha. They got a lot in there.
They
Go ahead,
did get
Trisha.
it. They did get a
Final
lot
thought
in there.
from you?
My final thought is that I think that AI is a really adventurous film. I think that it was a super huge undertaking to pick up where Kubrick left off and make this thing, and a super huge undertaking in that it's dealing with what is identity and where does a soul or what we consider humans start and where does it begin and where are we going with this next level of technology in the world and how reliant are we on technology. I think it's dealing with so much. I think it did a fantastic job. It really tugs at the heartstrings. The performances are amazing. It's a fantastic movie.
Final thought?
AI is not a fantastic film. It's like what you said, it tugs at the heartstring until it becomes too long and he can't figure out how to land an ending and creates this fake kind of airbrushy dreams thing that falls apart at the end. Catch Me If You Can doesn't fall apart at the end. It lands on every single scene until the very ending. Leonardo DiCaprio has finally gotten his Oscar. This was one of the ones where a lot of people said he should have gotten his Oscar on this one.
Steven, final thoughts for the terminal. There's a Burger King in the food court.
Hang on. Michael Douglas was one of the stars of a film called Basic Instinct.
Yeah.
It was one of the hottest films
Yeah.
in history.
Yeah.
All right, Sharon Stone. All right, huge movie. Michael Douglas could have been with any woman. And who did he choose? Catherine Zeta-Jones, who stars in the movie The Terminal. I'm making a solid point. That is a big deal. I'm going with The Terminal. I'm
All right,
so sorry.
He got a good point there at the end. Dan, anything else you'd like to add?
As a Steven Spielberg fan, I have a lot I'd like to add. But as a fact checker, I'd just like to say if you'd like to see more of Deep Roy, you can see him in J.J. Abrams' Star Trek films as Scotty's co-engineer friend.
Huzzah!
Yes.
Wow, that was interesting.
Karen, you having fun?
Yes, very much so.
Good. All right, I'm glad. All right, based on those arguments, sadly, Steven, I'm not going to go with The Terminal. I think you got a little too hung up on the... It was a good one argument, but I think you relied on the Catherine Zeta-Jones a little too much.
All right.
So it came down to AI and Catch Me If You Can, and I think John was just fighting a little harder there, Trisha, and you couldn't attack him back as hard as he was going, whether he was true or not. So I got to give John the point for just
It was very
going full there.
passionate.
He was passionate for
It
sure.
was very
So
passionate.
that puts us as tied to John and Trisha.
Now that I got the point, let me just say I did enjoy AI, but I found that
really-
ending.
you tricked me.
No, but I did find that ending
It's
like
little-
it was an attacked on
it was
ending,
add-on.
just like Minority Report had that ending where he goes in, he gets
I'm surprised none of you picked Minority Report. That is a really fun movie.
Well, I just
Minority
picked it because
Report is fun.
I thought Catch Me If You Can was a stronger film.
Yeah.
But yeah, Minority Report and AI are really cool science fiction films, but both of them have that weird like ending problem, at least for me.
I am being asked to point out from several people on Twitter that the ending was part of Stanley Kubrick's vision. It was not exclusive to Spielberg.
Who's saying that on Twitter? Like, obviously, they probably never read the script. They're just like looking at Cliff Notes or
You
something.
are so funny.
Yeah.
He's
I
so
love
hard
these
to
people are
argue.
like, you know what? It's like it was part of his original vision. A, he was dead. B, the
Right.
script was never actually published. Kubrick never finished a script. So
Yeah, that's not a good move. You never want to take over where Stanley Kubrick left off. That's
Yeah.
kind of you gotta just leave it.
and it was a series. He
Aw,
he
it's a
had a
beautiful
couple of different
tribute.
scripts. It was
All
a
right,
bunch of-
round 5.
I'm not even. Just whatever. Fine.
Round 5. In honor of our new show After Credits, which you guys should check out on ScreenJunkies Plus. You can see an episode over on How It Should Have Ended's channel or on ScreenJunkies.com. But Dan, fun show, right? People seem to like it. I'm excited for it.
I'm excited for it. I was cutting some audio for the next batch today, and the next ones are gonna be great too.
It's very fun to be able to do a little cartoon. We do 4 a month, and check them out where we make up after credit scenes for movies. But in honor of that, this question has been asked a ton. Matt Canty at MC. Wow, good. He scored a good. Oh, it's spaces. It doesn't count as much. What's the best post-credit scene in a film? Now, I threw this at the last minute. I'm taking out Marvel. Because you all picked
Yeah.
Marvel. Yes, they have good scenes, but let's go beyond Marvel. Let's introduce some new movies. Iron Man, Avengers were all said, but discrediting Marvel's wonderful after-credit scenes. What's the best after-credit scene beyond that? And John, you get to go first.
All right, I picked Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Not only is that a great, really fun 80s John Hughes film, but it also has one of the very first after-credit scenes where if you stick around for the entire film, you can see that little image. There's Ferris. He's like, hey, wait a minute. The movie's over. What are you doing here? Get out of here. Don't you have a life? Get out of here. And it's such an amazingly cool movie that Deadpool even had to rip it off and give it an homage. If you didn't hear about this movie, Deadpool came out this year.
Oh, there was a movie called Deadpool this year?
Something like $700 million. Whatever. Anyway, they made an homage to that Ferris ending. I got to stick with Ferris Bueller as like one of the original after-credit scenes and one of the best.
All right, Steven, what's your pick?
I'm gonna go with Masters of the Universe.
I love it. Yeah.
That. Jon Schnepp, I'm so disappointed in you. And I love you as a friend, but really? Ferris Bueller's Day Off? It's like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
I'm Stephen Glickman.
That is an after credits moment right there.
I'm Franklin Jello.
To remind us again, what happens?
Okay, movie ends, and then right at the last second, he comes out of the water, his face just comes out, and he goes, I'll be back! And that's the end of the movie.
Did he ever come back?
No!
Yeah, because the movie sucked, and this
right.
was a horrible ending.
That is classic. That is classic. Look, Ferris Bueller's Day Off is like, we'll wait to fight.
All right, he's waiting to fight.
Okay.
And Trisha, what's your pick?
My pick is Airplane, baby. So we're gonna say, one of the original after credits scenes that started everything. Airplane is definitely up there. The movie came out in 1980. One of the first. It inspired so many others after it. It's hilarious. It's unexpected that we're gonna go there, and I think that's what makes it so cool.
Set up the scene. There's a guy in a taxi cab waiting throughout the movie.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's the taxi guy waiting throughout the movie, and we finally get to see what happens to him at
They
the
keep
end.
cutting him throughout the movie, but then at the very end,
It's amazing. The film's
I'll
all
wait
about
5 more minutes.
Right. The film's exactly. And the film is all about transportation. The after credits scene continues the theme of transportation. It continues with the comedy. I just think it's a really fun button on a really fun film.
All right, guys, fight.
All right.
All right, listen. He-Man, Masters of the Universe. I just went to go rewatch this movie, and it is a garbage dump of a movie. Okay?
Oh, but it's so funny.
But it's so much fun to watch. Like,
Yeah.
I watched it with the cast. We
my
watched
God.
it at
Oh,
the
wow.
Egyptian. It was amazing. They went up and they spoke
Courtney
about
Cox showed
making it. Everyone except for Courtney Cox was there. But
Dolph
everyone else-
Lundgren was there?
Not Dolph Lundgren, but the rest of them were there.
that would've been
Who else was there?
All the other
Was
creatures.
Frank Langella there?
The ghost of Frank
Frank
Langella was
Langella?
there.
Yeah,
he
so
can't be there.
none of the main three were
All
there.
the rest
You guys,
of them were there.
you guys,
He's not dead.
He's not dead?
Well, he wasn't there either.
He wasn't there either.
All right, so the entire cast,
The rest
except
of the-
for the main cast, which was
there, and it was a terrific time, and they all spoke about what it was like making this horrendous pile of shit. And even the director said that basically when they started making that film, they had said to that we're gonna I said that they think it said to Mattel, hey, you give us like half the money to make the movie, and then we'll start making it, and then we'll get the rest of it from investors.
And that never
And they
happened.
never happened. So then they ended up
wasn't
having
this
to
Golden
install it.
Globus? Weren't they in charge?
It's a good documentary.
Yeah.
As
I
you
love
can
that documentary.
see
So
from
Dan has told me.
his lack of nose holes. It's just like black painted latex.
And he played it so serious the whole movie. And the movie ends on like a really weird moment, and it just is kind of over. And then you sit through the credits, and then right at that last second, just that Frank Langella had to come out of the sludge and
Wearing
like,
makeup.
wearing makeup, and wearing those prosthetics, and like do
double
that
mouth.
scene. It's so funny, and honestly, Ferris Bueller's Day Off is almost as it's like twice as obvious as Catch Me If You Can. Like
It's twice as awesome as Catch Me If You Can.
but
Also,
it's like everyone knows.
look, you're talking about a garbage film versus
It's
one
a
of the
garbage-
classic masterpieces of modern cinema. John
Right.
Hughes, you know who that guy is, right?
oh.
You ever see 16 Candles? Maybe The
Yeah.
Breakfast Club?
Okay, the
What did
movie's
this guy, the
great.
director of this, make? I can't even remember.
Gentlemen, we are arguing the after credits scene.
You're absolutely
not
right.
the
So
movie.
let me finish by saying this after credits film is exactly the giant dump that Masters of the Universe is garbage.
Masters
let me talk
of the
about
Universe is a hilarious movie.
I feel like that after credits scene is a lie. They're trolling us in so many
Yeah,
ways.
there's
with that
Really
after
is.
credit
And
scene.
because of that, in the irony of that after credit scene, I think that deserves like a big high five.
I think it's hilarious, but I don't think we can go so far as to
also,
say
like-
best after credit
And I don't think they were doing it in any form of irony. They were sort of like, let's please God, please can we have a sequel? Which will never happen. Obviously didn't happen.
I don't think it was
Let me
ironic
just talk
either.
about Ferris Bueller's Day Off for a minute, if I can.
Do
Obviously,
it.
I know you don't like the film, but millions
love
and
the film. I'm
millions
just
and
saying,
millions of
it's
other
like-
people.
I also like Brad.
I know you,
you know,
probably
like,
but
what else are we
here's
gonna
the thing,
talk
you
about?
probably didn't understand
Brad
it.
or
It's like-
Brad?
Bread, but I like Brad too. Hi, Brad.
Brad's pretty
Good to see you,
cool.
Brad.
So Ferris Bueller's Day Off, not only did it break the fourth wall just like Deadpool, but it was one of those films that really you felt like you were with Ferris the entire time. He was skipping school. All of us in high school used to skip school. So anybody who ever skipped school, raise your hand. Did you ever skip a day of class?
No.
Really?
No,
How about you,
I
Andy?
was that kid.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
I did.
No, I mean I know you did,
Yeah.
but I didn't.
You never
because
skipped
I'm a good person.
All right.
I also didn't go to school.
Let me just say, for people who skipped classes or skipped school or had a bad day, you really you sided with Ferris Bueller and you were in his camp the entire time. So by the time the credits rolled around, you're listening to the amazing score by Yellow, and all of a sudden Ferris is there at the end. Something that you did not expect to see. It was a rare thing. You're right. Airplane had done it. There's a few other films that did have like after credit scenes that stuck around. Sometimes they would even have scenes playing along the credits and stuff. But this film actually continued that breaking the fourth wall, where he directly addressed us once again for one final time, the audience, and told us to go home.
I feel
that's why
like
I think
if
it
there
wins.
was a running joke through Ferris Bueller where people waited too long for stuff, then maybe it would have made a little bit more sense to me. I think that after credit scene is definitely cute.
Well, no, but he's
it's
talking.
definitely
He's basically
fun.
talking to the audience the entire time.
Sure.
Airplane, they never did that. They didn't really interact with the audience or break the fourth wall.
but the after credit scene in Airplane isn't necessarily, I don't feel like, the ultimate fourth wall breaking. I don't think that's what that was doing. No, that's just continuing a theme. And if we're going to say inspired all the other after credit scenes, I do want to point out that Airplane was released before Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Sure.
So if we're going with first one to do it, Airplane would be that. And yeah, I mean, the ending of Ferris Bueller's is very cute, but okay, go home. You can go home now. You can go home now. I want to say it's been done before, but I can't say for a fact that it's been done before Ferris Bueller's. Maybe they're all just imitating that.
That was the first time they did it.
That was the first time they ever said,
Yep.
You can go home now.
Directly addressing the audience.
Directly addressing the audience, sure. I think it's cute, but I don't think it's the best after credits scene ever. I don't.
All right, go ahead. Why is Airplane the best one?
Because you're waiting the entire movie to find out what happens to that guy, and you finally find out. And because after credit scenes aren't a thing, no one's expecting that. For the people who stay there extra because maybe they have a few kernels of popcorn or that last slurp of soda that they're like, I'm gonna sit here and finish this before I go, because they're not thinking, is there anything after? Let me check my anything after app. They're sitting there waiting for that, and then, oh, what an awesome surprise. What a very cool moment.
I'd have to argue that. I don't think with Airplane they established anything like talking to the audience. So people who actually saw that last little nugget of the guy in the cab, it was sort of like, what's happening? Most of them were probably confused, while with Ferris Bueller's Day Off, they're used to seeing him talk to the audience and interact with the audience. So when they're listening to that soundtrack and when it finally pops up, they're like, oh my God, this last little cool thing with Ferris.
Steven.
Catherine Zeta-Jones. No, I'm sorry. No. Seriously.
Please.
A movie like He-Man, Master of the Universe, okay? All these other doing a movie that's a great movie and ending it like Avengers and all these movies that are ending movies with these after credit scenes. Everyone's sticking around. Everyone can't wait to see like one last little kernel. We all do that. We all wait for that last moment. When I went to go see Batman versus Superman, when it ended, I sat all the way through the credits. I was going, man, I really hope there's an after credits thing that makes this movie good. But there wasn't.
We couldn't wait to get out of the theater.
I couldn't wait to leave, right? But with He-Man, nobody wanted to watch that movie after it was over. No one sat there, and they still made an after credits thing, which to me is hilarious.
But you just said nobody wanted to watch it, so how can it be the best after credits scene that no one wanted to watch?
If you put it after a good movie,
you just defeated yourself.
That's what I'm saying, though. I'm not saying the movie's great. I'm saying that the after the credits thing is great because no one would want it, and then it happens, and people are like, "What is this? Why am I?" Forget it.
The last thing I want to say is
Go ahead.
a great after credits scene does not depend on fourth wall breaking.
I missed it. I went try to do it and I missed it. Dan, anything to add?
One quick thing about this round. There was some fourth wall breaking in Airplane. I remember What a Pisser is one that I remember Ted looking great.
So I guess you're wrong.
But because my honor was called into question on the last round, I found a source that says that Stanley Kubrick's ending was originally in AI. It was Steven effing Spielberg himself in 2007 in a documentary called Spielberg on Spielberg. He said that the ending was in Stanley Kubrick's original treatment, and he felt obligated to see it through the way that he had intended. So there.
I'm going to read up on that, Dan Murrell, because I'm still going to argue you. I want to make sure that
he's
the
on
ending...
video saying it.
No, but which ending is he talking about? Remember, it had double endings.
They talked about the ending that you
where the little
had
robot kid
with.
got his little dream.
I mean,
mommy.
that is the
Forget
ending.
it.
I assume he's talking about
He's talking about the controversial ending of the movie.
I'm going to argue that. I have to read it, and I have to hear him. I have to see him say that it was a little baby robot with a mommy scene.
We'll have you do that on After the Fight. All right.
Sure.
Thank you, Dan. I believe you.
I
believe Dan found that quote. I don't believe that it's real.
Wow, you're like Trump.
Hey,
let's not
please don't
make it
compare me
political.
to Trump.
Oh, God.
Jeez. That's
Karen,
rough.
how are you doing over there? Are you having fun?
Yes.
What'd you think of that fight? What's your favorite after credit scene out of those arguments?
I think based on the arguments, because I haven't seen any of those, it would be Jon.
John's a pretty intense arguer.
Jon did get intense, and I think I gotta agree. That's where my head was going too. I think I wanted to hear, because I love that scene.
I know, it's so good.
But I just wanted to hear a little bit more why it was. I don't know.
Why it was funny?
Why? No, I think it was funny, but I just didn't hear you selling that as hard as I think Jon was again. So I think Jon gets the point.
Okay.
But very close. Sorry, Stephen. It was fun. But they were a little bit more iconic.
They really beat my ass on this
that
one.
That puts the score. Let's see
picked
it.
Skeletor. You picked Frank Langella coming out of the muck.
Really good effort.
I have to say that is a hilarious after credit scene.
Very funny choices.
Not intentionally hilarious.
I'm very sorry.
But that puts Jon with slight edge with 3 points to Trisha's 2. It's not over. We're going straight in the speed round. And Karen on the couch. And Steven, I hope you'll help me here.
Yes!
Help me judge this as we move forward into our speed round to determine the winner. Now, before we go there, I have to thank our sponsor once again at Squarespace. You guys, it's the simplest way for anyone to create a beautiful landing page, website, or online store. As I said, easy to use tools, templates. Squarespace websites help you capture every detail of what drives you, because if it's worth the effort, it's worth sharing with the world. Am I right, Trisha?
You're right, Andy.
Start your free trial today, and let's make a website. Let's make a Dan Murrell fan site, shall we? You could do it there, right, Dan? Can we have some fans make some Dan Murrell pages?
If they would like to.
danboys.com.
That would be very flattering.
danboys.com. Come on, somebody make it. You can do it by going to squarespace.com/moviefights. And when you do, make sure to use offer code MovieFights to save 10% off your first purchase.
That's a good
okay?
deal.
Yes, and come on, someone send me the Dan Boys fan site. I want to see it. And take screen caps of every pouty Dan face. He had one just then when he was fighting with you.
Come on.
Is that what the Dan Boys? Dan Boys are all
really nice.
Am I right?
They're all about the pout face.
Yeah, it's adorable, Dan. Don't worry. We love you.
All right.
I said it out of love, not out of hate. Come on. All right. Thank you, Squarespace. You're the best. Time for the speed round. You guys know how to do this. You'll have 15 seconds. I'll say ask a question. First one that says an answer gets to say that. If you both say the same thing, it's whoever said it first. Otherwise, you'll have to pick something else. You'll each have 15 seconds and then 5-second rebuttals. You both have played this before. Yes, you know how the rules work. Any questions before we begin?
Help.
Let's do it. Here we go. Our first one is a visual aid, as usual. Please keep sending in your bargain pictures. Make sure they're in focus and the DVDs are centered in the picture.
Okay.
And no flash. That doesn't help either. Just a little picture taken 101 for some people out there.
Not the character. If you have a Flash movie that you'd like to send
Yes, but just turn the flash off the phone and make sure it's centered nice and focused, and we'll use your pictures. But we love them coming in. People go to the stores, take 2 movies out of the bargain bin. I'm going to show you 2 movies that someone took out of the bargain bin. You're going to have to tell me which one should I buy, okay?
Okay.
Here it comes. From Chris146 on Twitter. Here are your 2 movies.
Mean Girls. Clueless.
I heard Jon say Mean Girls first.
It was almost simultaneous.
It was pretty
difficult.
close, but I heard a little. He's just louder than you. Maybe that's why.
That's
But then you
okay.
said Clueless. Okay.
That's okay.
So you're okay with Clueless? There
Yeah,
we go.
I'm okay
All right,
with
let's do
Clueless.
it. So Jon got Mean Girls. You're up first. Trish, you have a second. You'll have Clueless. Go ahead, Jon.
All right,
15 seconds when you begin.
Tina Fey, one of the greatest comedians to come out of Saturday Night Live. This is a film that she wrote, and it's based on some of her life in high school and the mean girls that she experienced. The reason I think it beats out Clueless is it's just a slightly funnier film.
Right on the button there. Okay, Trisha.
Clueless is the movie that inspired Mean Girls. If we want a movie that's about teenage girls being ridiculous and some of them being catty to each other, and I mean, Clueless is a movie that took the 90s, balled it up in one movie and was like, here you go, this is the generation for making fun of everything from the baggy pants to the Valley Girl speak.
5 seconds,
Sorry,
John.
another film that inspired it is also Heathers. So it's like a combination of a bunch of different films that have already been done before, and then she was able to make it just amazing.
5 seconds.
The soundtrack to Clueless is fantastic.
Whew, that was a good one. All right, time's up. I'm coming to you, Karen. What do you think based on the arguments? Who gave the best argument?
I think Trisha kind of sold me more on why the movie was great. That's why I'm going with Trisha.
Got it. Steven, based on the arguments, what did you like?
I'm gonna go with Clueless. I'm sorry, John, but Brittany Murphy and all sorts of other wonderful things.
Paul Rudd?
Yeah, it's a better
But
movie.
based on her arguments.
No, based on her arguments, I'm going with her.
Okay, you're adding on to it. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I gotta say, even before you both said it, I think she got you pretty strongly there, and then she got the soundtrack in with which it did that
Yeah.
good
Great
Radiohead
soundtrack.
acoustic version
Yeah.
of Fake Plastic Trees. It was a good
Sure.
soundtrack.
I can't argue about the soundtrack.
No doubt was on there.
I'd have to start making stuff up. Hey, man, the soundtrack from Mean Girls was fantastic. I don't even know what was on it.
Trisha gets the point. That ties us up. All right, you're back in it.
Oof.
Whew. All right, here we go. Number 2. Please tell me the best scene in any Star Wars movie.
All right, the best scene is the sequence
Death
where
Star race.
Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader versus Luke
Death Star
Skywalker.
Destruction.
Okay. A lot. So I got Death Star Destruction from the original, and I heard Darth Vader and
There's
Luke
a standoff
Skywalker.
between Luke and Darth Vader on Bespin.
Okay. Trisha, you talked first, so you have to go first. Go ahead.
Okay, I said that scene because in my mind it's the most memorable scene, and I think a lot of people, when they think fun, Star Wars, action, sci-fi, they think pew pew. That's what they think. They think racing through, accomplishing the impossible. That's what happened in that moment of the film.
All right, John, 15 seconds.
I think when people think Star Wars, they think about the original trilogy, and also like you've set up Star Wars, and then you see Luke finally facing off against Darth Vader, and then you find out that Darth Vader's actually his dad, and everyone freaked out. It was a bigger surprise than the Death Star blowing up.
5 seconds, Trisha.
While I think, yes, it may have been a bigger surprise, I do not think it was a more iconic moment for Star Wars as a series.
We're not talking about iconic moments. We're talking about the best scene in the entire Star Wars series. We've seen Death Stars blow up how many times? 5 times? It's boring.
Dan, you got it on your shirt, so I got to go to you first. Based on those arguments.
They're both very good arguments. I think what swayed me over a little bit to John's side was his rebuttal that you've seen that moment now a few different times. So I would side with John.
Steven?
I'm going with John on this because I'm all about those lightsabers.
I'm all about those things.
No, that light.
Karen,
Oh,
what do you
that
think? Are you with them?
Yes, I would have given it to John too.
It was close, and I think, there was a couple things I wish I could have heard, and you would have had me, but I think I got to go with him as well. John gets the point. That puts him back up by
enough.
1. Still not over. Here we go. Number 3. Who's the most underutilized character in the Star Wars universe?
I'm gonna go with Yoda again.
I'm going to go with Chewbacca.
I was expecting you to say Salacious Girl.
I really thought you were going to go there. We had a few. Chewbacca and Yoda, underutilized. Tell me why. Yoda was first. Go ahead, Trisha.
Because there's so much history there that we just have no idea what it is. I mean, the Force to us is a mystery, and we could find out more about what makes it so awesome and about why we want it if we found out more about Yoda. I think that any scene with extra Yoda is an extra awesome scene, so...
I think there was just enough Yoda in both Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi where he served his purpose. With Chewbacca, there were sequences where it's like, oh, let the Wookiee win. When we first saw him in Star Wars, it was cool, but then he kind of played second fiddle in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, like carrying C-3PO around. I always wanted to see another scene that made him stronger.
I think Chewbacca is utilized exactly as he needs to be. He's the tank, he's there as the sidekick to Han Solo, and he does a great job with that.
I think Yoda was, like I said, I can't reiterate it, like he played his part enough. I never needed another Yoda scene.
Whew, this one's tough. Steven, I'm coming to you. What do you think? Based on those arguments, who was the most underutilized?
Well, I mean, John's arguing that we need to see more Chewbacca, but we have in like the Star Wars holiday special. And
That's not part of canon.
And it's horrendous.
Life
So-
Day.
but that's
Life
not
Day.
Life
Life Day is not part of canon.
I'm going with Yoda. Sorry.
I can't even defend that because
Oh,
that's not
come
part of
on.
canon.
Whatever.
Sorry, Uncle Scrimbles and
Aaron, what do you think?
Chewbacca's family, Yarback or whatever they're called.
We've seen what it looks like when there's a bunch of them. I'm passing. I'm going to her. I'm going with Yoda.
Karen, what do you think?
John kind of sold me. I don't know. He just said that it would maybe. I got the feeling he wanted to say it got more, like there was more to the character that might be added into there. So
Fair enough. We're split. Dan?
Based on the arguments,
Yes.
I would go with John because he made a better case for me about why Chewbacca was underutilized as opposed to just a strong character.
I agree. And if Trisha had said Life Day, or that she can't talk,
I
if she had
didn't
said
bring up
those
Life
things,
Day
you would have
as
said
an
Life Day. But I
argument.
think as Karen Dan, yes, I'm with you. You gave me a why. You want to see a little bit more of them. So based on the arguments, John gets the point. So
think it's
she needs to get
probably-
both of these, right, Dan?
That is correct.
It's
Trisha needs to
probably-
get both of these to force a tie.
Okay. It's
Okay.
probably mentally healthy for me that I don't automatically jump to Life Day.
I agree.
I hear
The
sponsor
Star Wars
music.
holiday specials should be not thought of.
All right, here we go.
Except for certain.
Number 4. In honor of Hardcore Henry, pick any film character to be fun to watch a movie through their POV.
Indiana Jones.
Ooh, wow.
Bilbo Baggins and
Indiana
Indiana
Jones.
Jones. I think I heard Indiana. Indiana's going first. Sorry, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Give her. You're in the lead. It was the same thing. Go ahead.
All right, so
Indiana Jones, 15 seconds. Go ahead.
Indiana Jones, one of the most amazing, swashbuckling, exciting characters. Every single movie that he's been in, even certain scenes from the Crystal Skull, if you saw that from a POV, would be incredibly exciting. It's an adventure that you could see from someone like swinging the whip, throwing the idol. All those scenes from Raiders of the Lost Ark all the way to Last Crusade.
Okay. Trisha, whenever you're ready.
I'm choosing Bilbo Baggins because the entire thing that was awesome about the Hobbit book that didn't translate well to the movie was that first-person POV. We experienced the entire story of the Hobbit, as the burglar. And if we got to do that in the movies, it might give us a Hobbit movie that actually is what we want as Lord of the Rings. And
I don't need to come up with excuses for Bilbo Baggins. I would never want to see him eating bread and like smoking some stuff from the Shire. It's kind of boring him trudging
yeah,
along.
you're right. He never talks to Smaug or saves entire civilizations of people. And yeah, he doesn't do any of that.
No, but you're saying POV.
That was it.
I have more.
That was it, right? They both did their time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fighting a dragon.
I thought Trisha did a very good job there, but I'm going to go to Steven. What do you think?
Man, that's a tough one. But just running, I'm gonna go with if we have to go just on the fight
Based on their arguments.
Based on their arguments, I'm trying to follow the rules.
Yes.
Based on the arguments, she wins on this one. I'm
Karen?
with Bilbo Baggins.
yes, Trisha did it.
Dan?
I agree.
That's sick burn at the end. Good job. You're back in it.
You did it.
Definitely.
Thanks, man.
That was good.
All right, so we're tied now,
God,
right?
I want
We
to
are
see
not.
that movie.
Oh, you need to get one more to force a tie, Trisha. Here we go.
Okay.
Here we go. Ready? Best movie starring Charlie Sheen.
Platoon.
Starring.
How many seconds does she get till she's
That's all I
disqualified?
say. Make it interesting, John.
What's the movie? Okay, let me think. I'm thinking
I
it
am
through
going
in
to
my
start
head right
thinking.
now.
Yeah, go ahead. You got to pick
What's
something.
the movie where
I can't tell you.
he's in?
So funny.
It's oh, brain fart so bad. What's the movie where he's the hot guy in the train station for like 2 seconds?
I mean, you should know.
Vampire movie.
You should know that movie.
I brain fart so bad on the speed round.
Uh-oh. All right.
The Feldmans are in it?
I'm starting to clock it.
Okay. Think, Trisha. Think. What?
Charlie Sheen.
2.5 Men the movie.
That does not qualify.
That's not a
I'll give you
movie.
10 more
That's not a
seconds, and
movie.
I'm going to have to call it.
Starting the clock now.
It's not Goonies. That's right around the same time as Goonies. What is that movie called? I'm killing myself right now. I appreciate that you think it's funny.
You were thinking of Ferris Bueller.
No, I was not thinking.
Yes.
I was going to say Ferris
Hot
Bueller's
guy
Day
in
Off.
the-
At the
The
very
vampire
end.
movie I'm thinking of
The vampire movie?
with the Feldmans.
Lost Boys.
Lost
Was he in that?
Boys.
No, he's not
He's
in
not
Lost
in that
Boys.
either.
God
He's hanging
damn
out
it.
at the very end in the
How about
police
Wall Street?
station.
Wall Street would have been a good
Never
one.
mind.
Hot
I wasn't
Shots.
even
Hot Shots
close.
Part 2.
Hot Shots Part 2,
Wall
that's what I
Street,
should have said.
The Chase, Terminal Velocity.
Yes.
Hot
Scary
Shots-
Movie would have been
Oh,
worked,
Scary Movie's
right?
so
Wasn't he in
bad,
one of
though.
those?
Ferris Bueller was like the one you were thinking of. And
That
by
is
the way,
one.
I was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Were you really?
In the Twist and Shout scene. I was in college my first year, and they were
Wow.
filming it in Chicago. And
That's
I wandered
cool.
onto the live set, and you could see me for like 5 seconds.
Dude,
So-
you're my hero
Well,
right
John,
now.
you won.
all right.
You did it, buddy.
You're
Trisha,
my
sorry
hero.
to go out that way.
Congratulations.
Great job.
That's okay.
But you win the game.
That's okay.
Well done.
It happens in the speed
Good
round. Isn't that
job.
tough?
That was tough.
You are a passionate arguer.
Trisha, thank you for playing. You were so close.
Thanks,
so
man. So
close.
close. I
Where
tried.
can people find you online?
Oh, you can find me on the Twitter space at ThatGirlTrish with no I in the girl, or on YouTube.com/Trisha Hershberger.
You are awesome as always. Thank you for coming fighting hard. Jon
you.
Schnepp at Jon Schnepp, and I know you got a Kickstarter. Let's tell them about it.
Yeah, you guys can fund my Kickstarter right now. It's the last 2 weeks. It's all about comic book movies and comic book stores. People aren't really reading comics anymore, and I'm trying to get a community built around that so that when you go see a comic book movie, you can instantly go to a comic book shop that's around you or anywhere around the globe, and you can find stuff that's directly related to some of the best comic books out there. I want people to enjoy reading. Really, that's really what it's about. So check it out, Kickstarter. It's called Sweaties Unite, Rise of the Uber Nerd, and it's all about us sweaty nerds
awesome.
who are into comic book stories, and I want to share that with the community that's slowly being phased out. I don't want comic book stores to close. So if you want to donate, go to Kickstarter, Sweaties Unite. Help me make this doc.
Awesome. Stephen Glickman at Stephen Glickman Twitter. Anything else? Where can people find you? Where do you want them to send?
I'm at Stephen Glickman, STPHEN Glickman on Twitter.
No K?
And no K. There's no K.
Well,
Sorry,
good job
guys.
there, guys. Good research.
Just Stephen Glickman on Twitter and Instagram. But if you are
There it
in,
is.
there we go. If you're in, hey, well done. If you're in the Los Angeles area, April 16th at the Hollywood Improv, 10 p.m. I have a show called The Nighttime Show. We do there every month. The show, we have Fireball whiskey for the first 100 people. Fireball whiskey drinks, complimentary for the first 100 guests. This month,
Make 'em
it's
drunk. Smart.
It's amazing. Johnny Pemberton, Melissa Villasenor, Adam Ray, Guy Branum, the Brothers, lots of wonderful people, and the Tulsa Skull Swingers are our band
Nice.
for this month. And our podcast, the Nighttime Show podcast, starts airing in April. We just interviewed Brannon Braga, who was amazing and
Nice.
revealed so much interesting stuff
Star
about
Trek
Star
sweaty.
Trek.
Yeah.
So check it out. Check it out. Love
Very
you guys.
cool. Thank you for coming. Yeah, Dan Murrell on the couch. Murrell Dan.
Hi.
Hey, Dan. You're going to be in Seattle
Yes,
this week
I will be
today
in
if you're watching on
Seattle.
YouTube, or
If you're-
Saturday if you're not.
If you're watching live, I'll be in Seattle on Saturday. If you're watching on YouTube, I will be in Seattle today at Emerald City Wizard.
So not to confuse,
Comic-Con.
Saturday, April 9th at
Yes.
4 p.m.
Yes.
in Seattle.
In Seattle, 4 to 5:30. Myself,
You, Hal?
Spencer J. Gilbert, Hal Rudnick, and the hometown boy himself, Jeremy Johns. We'll be
Sorry I
doing a
can't
panel.
join you, but I know you guys will have fun out there. Get some crabs and some coffee.
Yes.
Go see Kurt Cobain's house. That's the Seattle stuff I know.
Get really depressed. Cry
Is that
a bunch.
something you do in
Get
Seattle?
lost. Seattle's got all those weird windy roads.
Pay your tribute? No.
I scheduled a little extra time to see the cities I've never been. Seattle, I'm looking forward to.
Seattle.
It's great.
Take them well.
Are you
Enjoy
gonna
the weather.
cosplay?
No,
You should.
I'll look into that.
Karen, thank you for coming on the show. How was it watching it live? Did you have fun?
Yes, I had so much fun. It was awesome.
You were awesome. Thank you for watching and being such an awesome fan, all the way from Austria. I hope you have some fun
Thank
stuff to do
you.
while you're
Hey.
here. Please stay in touch, and thank you for coming. And thank you all at home. We'll be here live after the fight if you're watching on Plus to talk a little bit more, and you can call in. If not, we will see you next week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Every podcast we put on YouTube comes with this kick-ass graphic listing all the topics your favorite Screen Junkies podcasters are talking about. If you click the topics, you can skip around and choose your own podcast battle royale. Go ahead, try them all. If you haven't already, subscribe to Screen Junkies on YouTube to join us for future fights. Or if you prefer to listen on iTunes, click the logo to download an audio version.